Hello everyone, welcome to History class. Today we are going to continue Lesson 5 of History Traders to Rulers. Earlier we had discussed about internal and external situations of India in the second half of the 18th century, advent of European companies, and today we are going to discuss Anglo-French rivalry and British conquest of Bengal. And the main objectives of today's topic are you will come to know about three Anglo-French wars or Carnatic Wars, British conquest of Bengal, and Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar. But before starting today's topic, let us recall definitions and cross questions related to the previous topics. Definitions: anarchy, industrialization, monopoly, colonizing, fortification. Now answer these cross questions. When did the British Empire establish in India? Tell any three internal situations that enabled the British to establish an empire in India. Who issued a charter to the East India Company and when? Which Mughal emperor gave permission to set up factories of the British East India Company in India? Who played a major role in the expansion of French power in India? Now let us discuss new words related to today's topic. Carnatic. Carnatic refers to an area occupied by the Kannada speaking people, which roughly corresponds to a part of the modern Indian state of Karnataka. The Carnatic Wars, the series of military conflicts between the British and the French in the middle of 18th century. Minting, making coins by stamping metal. Diwani, right to collect revenue from the people. Treaty, a formal agreement between two parties. Indemnity, a sum of money that is given as payment for damage or loss. Zamindari, the system under which zamindars held land. Now the topic is Anglo-French rivalry. Rivalry means conflict. But before reading it from the book, let us discuss the main points. By early 18th century, the Portuguese, the people of Portugal, the Spaniards, the people of Spain, and the Dutch, the people of Netherlands, lost the important trading position they held in trade with India to the British and the French. The companies of Britain and France came to dominate Indian trade with Europe. Each tried to control the markets in which they bought the goods and to reduce the other's influence over the other. This led to rivalries between the Britain and France in India as well as in Europe. Gradually, both tried to control not only trade but also extended their political influence in India. This rivalry resulted in a series of wars known as the Carnatic Wars. Now, let us read from the book. Anglo-French rivalry. Around the middle of the 18th century, English and French trade interests clashed. This resulted in three Anglo-French wars, which are referred to as Carnatic Wars 1744 till 1763. Means in the middle of the 18th century, both the English and the French came to dominate the Indian trade. Both tried to control the Indian markets, so the conflict between the English and the French was increased, which led to the three Anglo French Wars or the Carnatic Wars. And these wars were fought in the Carnatic region, that is, in the south of India. The name Carnatic refers to an area occupied by the Kannada speaking people, which roughly corresponds to a part of the modern Indian state of Karnataka. You can see on the map the entire orange part was the Carnatic region and it was occupied by the Kannada speaking people. And still, Kannada is one of the classical languages of India and is the most widely spoken and official language of Karnataka. In the 18th century, the eastern part of the coastal Carnatic was under Hyderabad within the Mughal Empire. Means in the 18th century, the part of Carnatic which was near to the Bay of Bengal was under Hyderabad within the Mughal Empire. The Carnatic Wars were primarily between the British and the French for control of the trading ports of India. However, these wars were complicated by a number of factors. Means mainly the Carnatic Wars were between the British and the French for controlling the trade ports of India. But these Carnatic wars were complicated by a number of other factors too. Now let us read and discuss about the other factors of these Carnatic wars. Two European wars had already taken place: the War of Austrian Succession 1740 till 1748 and the Seven Years' War 1756 till 1763. The first and the third Carnatic Wars were essentially the continuation of these two wars in India. Continuation means carrying on. Basically, the War of Austrian Succession took place from 1740 till 1748, and the original conflict was over who would take the Austrian throne. And in this war, Austria, England, and Netherlands opposed Prussia, France, and Spain over the selection of rulers for territories within the Austrian Empire. And on the other hand, the Seven Years' War was a global conflict which ran from 1756 till 1763 and pitted a coalition of Great Britain and its allies against a coalition of France and its allies. The war escalated the regional conflict between the Great Britain and France. The European powers who had aligned themselves with the native princes took leadership of many of the battles. Means during the 18th century, many treaties were signed between the native princes and the European powers, and during the time of battles, the European powers took the leadership. The Mughal Empire had broken down in the beginning of the 18th century. This helped the European powers increase their influence in those regions. In the beginning of the 18th century, the decline of the Mughal Empire led to the formation of many regional kingdoms, and the European powers took the advantage of that and tried to increase their effect in those areas. So, these all were some other factors of the Carnatic Wars. Now, let us read and discuss about the First Carnatic War 1744 till 1748. The First Carnatic War was an extension of Austrian War of Succession which was fought in Europe in 1740 till 1748. And in this war, the French and the English took opposite sides. And in India too, the French and the English took opposite sides in the Carnatic Wars. The main French factory was in Pondicherry, the present day Puducherry in Tamil Nadu, and the British station was in Madras, the present day Chennai in Tamil Nadu. The commanders of the forts were on friendly terms, but when the war broke out in Europe, they prepared for battle. Means earlier the leaders of both the French and the British were on the friendly terms, but as soon as the war was broke out in Europe, both the French and the English started preparing for battle in India too. The Indian ruler of the region tried to avert the war between the two forts. Avert means stop. But the French defied his orders and captured Madras. They took the entire garrison prisoner. Garrison means armed force, and prisoner means hostage or convict. So we can say that Dupleix, the French governor of Pondicherry, the present day Puducherry, opened hostilities by attacking the fort and capturing Madras. The English sought the help of Anwaruddin, the Nawab of Carnatic, and the Nawab ordered Dupleix to leave Madras, but Dupleix refused, and Anwaruddin sent a large army against the French. The Nawab's army was completely defeated by the French, and this was the first conflict between the European power and an Indian ruler. Later, several English prisoners, including Clive, escaped. They took refuge in another fort. Soon they got support from other British companies and attacked Pondicherry. The siege of Pondicherry, however, was not successful. Siege means blockade. So after that, British governor Robert Clive, along with his English prisoners, escaped and took shelter in another fort. And after that, they got the support from other British companies and they attacked Pondicherry, which was the main French factory. But The blockade of Pondicherry was not successful. But peace between France and England was soon declared and Madras was returned to the British. The French were led by Dupleix and the British by Robert Clive. So, in the end, a peace treaty was signed between France and England, and Madras was returned to the British. After the First Carnatic War, the Second Carnatic War was fought from 1748 till 1754. It was the result of the succession war among the princes of the native rulers of the kingdom of Hyderabad and Carnatic. Succession means action of inheriting a title. Means the Second Carnatic War was the result of the succession war. After the death of Nizam of Hyderabad, a war of succession broke out between Nasir Jung, the son of the Nizam of Hyderabad, and Muzaffar Jung, the grandson of the Nizam. In Hyderabad, Muzaffar Jung became the Nawab with French support. But on the other hand, the British supported Nasir Jung, the son of the Nizam of Hyderabad. And during the war, the French defeated Nasir Jung in Hyderabad and made Muzaffar Jung the Nawab. And in return, Muzaffar Jung gave Dupleix a large jagir or land that was South India. And war was finally concluded in 1754 when the French government initiated peace talks and recalled Dupleix. So, Dupleix was sent back to France in 1754 and his successor signed the Treaty of Pondicherry in 1754 with the British. And after the Second Carnatic War, the Third Carnatic War was fought from 1756 till 1763. It was a continuation of the 7 Years' War of Europe in India, which was fought between Britain and France in Europe between 1756 till 1763. The 7 Years' War was a global conflict which ran from 1756 till 1763, and the war was escalated from a regional conflict between Great Britain and France. And the Third Carnatic War was an extension of the 7 Years' War of Europe in India. The British won the Carnatic Wars because they got all kinds of support from the British government and they also enjoyed autonomy. Autonomy means freedom. Basically, the Third Carnatic War led to the war in Bengal. The British, though, managed to gain control after some initial French success, and in Carnatic, the French were defeated and killed. The British replaced the French in Hyderabad, and the Nizam of Hyderabad gave northern Sarkars to the British. The northern Sarkars is the northern part of the eastern coastal plains in India. So we can conclude that the defeat of the French completely shattered the dreams of the French East India Company of establishing an empire in India. And the British won the Carnatic Wars because they got all kinds of support from the British government. Now let us read and discuss about British conquest of Bengal. Conquest means control of place by military force. The English East India Company was merely a trading body in the early 17th century. They established their first factory at Hooghly in around 1651. Means the English East India Company was the only trading company in India during the early 17th century. And the English East India Company established its first factory in 1651 at Hooghly in West Bengal. The factory consisted of a warehouse, offices, as well as residential quarters. Means the factory had a warehouse where goods for export were stored and it had offices and living areas for the officials. The company's trade flourished, but it violated trade rules during Aurangzeb's reign. He declared war and defeated them. Later, Aurangzeb granted them the right to carry trade in return of an annual payment. Means during the reign of Aurangzeb in India, the East India Company's trade flourished, but then too the English East India Company started breaking the trade rules. And at that time, Aurangzeb declared war and defeated the English. But later on, Aurangzeb gave the permission to the company to carry trade, but in return, the company had to give yearly payment to the emperor. But after Aurangzeb's death, the Mughal Empire became weak and the company then increased its operations in Bengal. Means after the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, the Mughal Empire became weak because of his weak successors, and the British East India Company took an advantage and increased its operations in Bengal. And in 1717, the company got the right to import and export goods without paying the custom duty from Mughal Emperor Farrukh Shiar. Means in 1717, the Mughal Emperor Farrukh Shiar granted permission to the British authorities for tax or duty free trade with Bengal. However, the company's employees misused the right and carried illegal private trade for which they did not pay trade duties. This resulted in an enormous loss of revenue for Bengal. Means the company's officials started misusing the right and they started carrying the unlawful private trade. But the company's officials who were carrying on private trade on the site were expected to pay the tax. But they refused to pay the tax, and that caused a huge loss of revenue for Bengal. Conflicts between the company and the Nawabs of Bengal. In the first half of the 18th century, the conflicts between the Nawabs of Bengal and the company intensified. Means, during the 18th century, the rivalry between the Nawabs of Bengal and the British East India Company was increased. Murshid Quli Khan, Siraj-ud-Daulah, and Alai Vardi Khan were strong rulers. In order to keep a check on the activities of the company officials, Alai Vardi Khan laid certain conditions. These conditions were: the officials of the company who were engaged in private trade shall pay custom duties, or the privileges of duty free trade will be withdrawn altogether. Privilege means benefit, and withdrawn means removed or taken away. The first condition was that the officials of the company who were carrying on the private trade on the side had to pay the tax on import and export of the goods. Otherwise, all the benefits of the tax free trade would be removed. Secondly, the company shall not extend the fortification of its settlement. Means the company was not allowed to extend the defensive walls or the forts for their settlement. The Nawabs forbid the company from minting coins. That means making of coins by the company was banned by the Nawabs. The company shall pay a larger amount of tribute for trade concessions. So the last condition was that the company had to pay huge amount of payment to the Nawabs, as the Nawabs were giving them the discounts on the trade. Now let us read and discuss the causes of the conflicts between the Nawabs of Bengal and the company. The company did not follow the orders of the Nawab. The company was even more confident after the military successes against the French both in Europe and in India. Means the company was not ready to follow the conditions that were laid by the Nawabs of Bengal, and even they were more confident after defeating the French from India as well as from Europe. The situation worsened in 1756 when Siraj-ud-Daulah became the Nawab of Bengal. He was furious at the company's interference in the affairs of Bengal, expansion of fortification in spite of his orders, and failures to pay the revenue dues. Means in 1756, when Siraj-ud-Daulah became Nawab of Bengal, at that time the condition of Bengal was not so good. So the Nawab became angry when he came to know that the company was not following the orders. So he asked the company to stop meddling in the political affairs of Bengal, stop fortification, and start paying the pending revenues or taxes. But the company neglected the orders of the Nawab. So when negotiations failed, Siraj-ud-Daulah captured the English factory at Qasim Bazar and the company's fort at Calcutta, the present day Kolkata. Soon Robert Clive took charge of the company's affairs in Bengal and re established the company's previous position and trade privileges by treacherous means. Negotiations means discussions or talks, and treacherous means disloyal or unfaithful. So we can say that all the discussions were failed, and after the discussions failed, the Nawab marched with his 30,000 soldiers to the Qasim Bazaar, captured the company officials over there, and locked the warehouses, disarmed all Englishmen, and blockaded the English ships. Then he marched to Calcutta to establish control over the company's fort. On hearing the news of the fall of Calcutta, company officials in Madras sent forces under the command of Robert Clive, and Robert Clive took the charge of company's affairs in Bengal, and he tried to re-establish the previous position of the company and tried to get all the benefits of the trades by disloyal means. But finally, in 1757, Robert Clive led the company's army against Sirajudaulah at Plassey. So, the beginning of the British political control over India may be traced back to the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Robert Clive wanted a puppet ruler who could grant them more privileges. As before Sirajudaulah, Ali Vardi Khan was the Nawab of Bengal and he died in 1756. And after his death, Sirajudaulah was made the Nawab of Bengal. But the company was worried about his power and keen on a puppet ruler who would willingly give them the trade concessions and other privileges. So Clive conspired with Mir Jafar, commander in chief, Jagat Singh, the richest banker, and Amin Chand, the rich merchant, to overthrow Sirajudaulah. Means Robert Clive plotted against Sirajudaulah as the company didn't want Sirajudaulah to be the Nawab of Bengal. So on 23rd June 1757, the armies of Sirajudaulah and English East India Company met at Plassey. Robert Clive led the British forces. The commander-in-chief of the Nawab, Mir Jafar, along with his army, did not take part in the battle. So Sirajudaulah was killed in the battle and Mir Jafar was made the Nawab of Bengal. And in this way, Mir Jafar became a puppet in the hands of the British. They constantly extracted money and favors from him. When Mir Jafar failed to meet the company's heavy monetary demands, he was overthrown by the British East India Company. And in 1760, Mir Qasim, who was son-in-law of Mir Jafar, was made the Nawab of Bengal. And in return, Mir Qasim gave some areas to the British. But later on, Mir Qasim too made attempts to free himself from the British domination. So we can say that the Battle of Plassey is the most important as it transformed a mere trading company into a political power. And after the Battle of Plassey, one more battle was fought, that was Battle of Buxar. It was fought in 1764 and Buxar is a place in Bihar. Now let us read from the book. Battle of Buxar, 1764. All these developments irked the company and they declared a war against Mir Qasim. Irked means annoyed or irritated. Means many developments were made in Bengal during Mir Qasim. He dismissed the court officials who favored the British. He too hired European experts to train his army. He abolished all the taxes or duties on the internal trade, and as a result, the Indian merchants were able to enjoy the concessions which only English had enjoyed so far. And Mir Qasim also placed limits on the trade privileges of the company. So the company was annoyed on seeing all these developments in the Bengal and they declared a war against Mir Qasim. Mir Qasim fled to Awadh. Fled means escaped, and Awadh is present day Uttar Pradesh. He entered into an alliance with the Nawab of Awadh, Shujau Daulah, and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. Their combined forces fought with the British army at Buxar on 22nd October 1764, but they were defeated. Means in this battle, three Indian rulers came together to fight the British and free the territory from British rule. Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal, Shuja'u Dawla, the Nawab of Awadh, and Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor, but they all were defeated and the British once again emerged victorious. With this victory, the company became the real master of Bengal. So, after this battle, Bengal entirely came under the rule of British and the British started capturing more and more kingdoms in India. Now, let us read and discuss major consequences of the Battle of Buxar. Consequences means results. In 1765, the Treaty of Allahabad was signed. It was a treaty between Shuja'u Dawla, Shah Alam II, and Lord Clive. Means after the Battle of Buxar, the treaty or agreement of Allahabad was signed, and that treaty marked the political involvement and the beginning of the British rule in India. As per the treaty, the English East India Company got the Diwani of Bengal. Diwani means right to collect revenue from the people. They got it from the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. They could collect revenue from Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. Means the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II granted the Diwani rights or the right to collect the taxes on the behalf of Emperor from the eastern province of Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. These rights allowed the company to collect the revenue directly from the people of Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. And in return, the emperor would receive an annual tribute of 26 lakh rupees and two districts in Uttar Pradesh, that is, Allahabad and Kara. The emperor could reside in the fort of Allahabad under the protection of the British. Protection means defense. Means in return, the company paid an annual tribute of 26 lakh rupees while securing for Shah Alam II the districts of Kara and Allahabad. And the tribute money paid to the emperor was for the maintenance of emperor's court in Allahabad. And it was also decided that the Mughal emperor would reside under the protection of the British in the fort of Allahabad. And as per the treaty, the third condition was that the Nawab of Awadh was made to pay an indemnity of 50 lakh rupees. Indemnity means security or insurance. The company restored his kingdom and promised to help him in case of attack on his territory. Means the Nawab of Awadh, that was Shuja'u Dawla, also had to pay 50 lakh rupees as war indemnity to the British East India Company. And moreover, the two signed an alliance by which the company promised to support the Nawab against outside attacks, and in return, the Nawab paid for the services of the troops sent to his aid. And this alliance made the Nawab dependent on the company. And this was the turning point in the Indian history. So we can conclude that the English or the British East India Company was the only trading company in India in early 17th century, and it expanded its control over India. Now I hope today's topics are clear to you. Your today's homework is to learn the related terms and try to solve the back exercises.